Hello, Toy Collector fans. Universal Toy Collector here, and welcome to the channel. And welcome to another episode of My Collecting Life, the weekly series where I get to speak with you, members of the toy collecting community, about your own personal collections, finding out what got you into collecting in the first place, and what gives you that toy collecting buzz. Okie dokie then, so who is the guest on this week's episode? Well, why don't we all find out? You all know the drill by now. Sit yourselves down, put your feet up, and make yourselves comfortable. And let's take a look at some of his collection in a musical montage. Okay, then, so yet again, another absolutely fantastic collection. A little bit of everything. You've got some Lego there, you've got some G.I. Joe, and you've got some Star Wars. It's a pleasure to welcome to the channel for the first time, Ash, the random G.I. Joe collector. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hello. Greetings. How are you, sir?
I'm all good. Thank you very much for taking the time out to do this. Really do appreciate you sparing an hour or so to have a chat with me. So
My pleasure.
thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it.
Awesome stuff. Likewise. I mean, I know we've been chatting quite a bit on Instagram, but it's finally nice to get to chat to you face to face.
Yes,
absolutely. Yeah.
Good.
So you're saying you know a little bit about the series. So basically, I've got 10 questions for you, all about you and your collection, some childhood memories and stuff like that. Runtime, roughly about an hour. If we go over, it doesn't really matter. So if you're ready, sir, we'll crack on.
cracking on, ready to go.
Awesome, awesome. So, what toy lines were you into as a kid, and what memories do you have of those toy lines?
To start off with, it was, believe it or not, it was do you remember Air Force used to do the little plastic soldiers, about 172 or something like that? They used to go along with the plastic model kits. I used to play with them, and they sort of got me a bit into Action Man. Remember Action Man?
Yeah.
Obviously, I got into him, and then eventually Star Wars came along.
Right.
And I was already playing with Lego at that time as well. Obviously, it wasn't quite as it was back then. I think I had a model aeroplane and a few of the sets from I think it was the Lego space sets at the time. It was only, like I say, a few small sets and a few small craft. And I was mostly playing with those. And then obviously Star Wars came along.
Yeah.
And my main memory of that was literally Star Wars came along. I'd always liked the military side of stuff, but the sci-fi element to Star Wars came along. Loved the figures, obviously a bit smaller than Action Man.
Yeah.
Because obviously Action Man being 12-inch, with
right, yeah. So I'm assuming, because I didn't know whether you meant the 12-inch Action Man or the 3 3/4 inch.
No, we haven't got to those yet because they were released later on. Because I believe it or not, I'm a bit of an old fogey. I may not look it, but I was around before Star Wars really came out, so it was mostly for me Lego, Action Man, the 12-inch dolls with all the vehicles and stuff. My cousin was well into it. He had all the types of them, and so that's what we basically played with. And then Star Wars came along, and obviously with the smaller figures, it was just easier to play with, really. And we had the movie as well, which came out, so obviously that made you fall in love with the figures straight away. And that was it. I sort of was hooked on Star Wars. And then later on, Action Force came out. I think it was early 1982. They started releasing the smaller versions of Action Man. And so obviously with my love for Action Man, I started to collect them. And I think they released an SAS figure, which was the 3 3/4. And obviously, because we had just had the Embassy Siege, so the SDS were quite popular back at that time. So we were all like scrambling over this. And then I sort of really started to get more into Action Force. I still love Star Wars, but I also loved Action Force. I had my parents, my father was in a war, and so was my granddad. So there was always that sort of military background. So I sort of started edging more towards Action Force, and then that developed into G.I. Joe. I had Transformers. I got, I had a couple of Transformers. I had Megatron and I think Optimus Prime, the main ones. He-Man, again, I had He-Man. I didn't have the Castle Grayskull. A friend of mine had that, but I had like Many Faces. I had a fair few of them. Battle Cat. But I really stayed towards Action Force, and then obviously it turned into G.I. Joe. And then obviously I got a bit older then and sort of moved out from it. But that was sort of my route towards action figures and toys, really.
So with the Action Man and the Action Force, was it the realism of it? Because you sort of like touched on the military. You always like military side of things. Was that because of your dad and your granddad?
Yeah, I think so. I've always had a high respect for the military, especially what they got through. We always I don't know if do you remember Commando magazine comic?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So I was brought up on Commando comics, so you can't,
because they were the little ones, weren't they?
Yes. You still see them around the marketplace. I'm getting to the point where I'm gonna actually just treat myself and just for old times. But Commando comics, I loved it, and then they started to have like Action Man stories as well. And for me, with my collection, it's always been about the story and the history and the background behind the characters. So there was always that with Action Man and so forth. So it sort of just started to get me more into it, really.
Did you get the Battle Action Force comics as well? Because they were the bigger paper ones, weren't they?
Dude,
have you still got some?
Right, I've got an annual. Right, are you ready for this?
Yeah, go on. I'm gonna get you up on the big screen. There you are, all yours.
All right. Battle Action Force, 1985.
Yeah.
Now, look, it's even got stuff on there. Hold on, move it there. Operation Iron Blood.
Oh my God.
It's got Charlie's War in it, which I absolutely adored. Bootneck Boy. And it's just, I mean, just look at this, man. Just look.
I know. How
Charlie
cool is
Dwarf,
that?
yeah.
Look at that. Yeah.
So this is, you know, I've got a couple of these, but you know, this is like my one of my prized possessions. I'm into my comics and my ever so much. But yeah, I used to, like I say, Battle and Eagle and all those types of comics is what sort of gimmick. They're a bit more realistic, I found. A bit,
yeah,
you know,
that is so cool. I just like to say, I remember the Commando magazines, and I can remember going down to the local news agent and stuff like that, and you'd have the little racks and stuff like that, and you'd pick them out, and they'd have different stories. And then the Battle Action Force, I love that. I love that, because we didn't get the little comics, did we, at the time? So the Commando comics were the smaller ones, and then it went to the Battle Action Force.
Yes.
And then it was only later on that we started getting the regular size comics that they got from the States.
Well, it was Battle to start off with. It only
was it?
Yeah, because it was Battle had, you know, Charlie's War and the other one, Johnny Red and so forth. And those were the stories. And it wasn't till later, because the success of Action Force, they actually changed the name to Battle Action Force. So,
okay.
So cool. But those comics just set me up. Like I say, you see my background. It was just
absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome.
You know, comradeship. You know, heroes. What more could you want? Really?
No, it was absolutely awesome. I mean, I've got to say, it was a happy times back then. Happy times back then for sure. You said that you were old. You know, you were old enough to sort of like see Star Wars. Did you actually go to the theatre to go and see it? What was your reaction and memories of that?
Now, my memories of it, a load of us from school and our friends all sort of went along to the local cinema in Loughborough. It's still there, the curtain, and the queues were there. Now, mind you, I've only got to be 6, 7, very young, but my memories of it, of us all basically being children going into it, Star Wars. Went in, watched the movie, was gobsmacked by it. As we were coming out, my memory is we're all like doing X-Wings.
Oh, yeah.
Playing X-Wings as we were coming out. But I was lucky enough to see it on the first showing. So,
oh, wow.
My memories are very fuzzy, but I do remember queuing up for ages and then playing X-Wings on the way out. It was just fantastic. So I was lucky enough to see all of them when they first came out. So.
Yeah, see, I think
I'm that old, I'm afraid.
No, that doesn't matter. I mean, Jedi was my first memory of Star Wars. I mean, I remember watching Star Wars on the telly, but actually theatre-wise or cinema-wise, it was Return of the Jedi. What about walking into toy shops? Because, I mean, back then you had plenty to choose from, didn't you? And you just had all those boxes of either Star Wars, Action Man, Action Force. It was just such a great time. What are your memories of going back into the toy stores back in those days?
Well, there's 2 toy stores that we had near where, because I've moved back home now, and unfortunately those 2 stores have closed. But one was Jeff's Toys, and another was Green's, like news agent. Jeff's Toys was brilliant. You go in, and they'd have quite a lot of the Palatoy stuff because Colville wasn't too far away. But mostly it was all the stuff that you've already got. All the good stuff had long since gone.
Yeah.
And Green's little news agent would have it'd have a little toy section. I don't think a lot of news agents do that anymore. They used to have just little toy sections where they'd have odd bits and bobs. But Green's was always the best for Action Force and He-Man. Okay. Jeff's Toys did very well on the Star Wars front. I think they must with Mattel, is it? Who did Star Wars? Who used to produce Kenner, wasn't it? Kenner, because there used to be a factory nearby. So yeah. They've sorted in with them. But yeah, Greens. The memories, like I say, would be going into town with the grandmother on a Thursday, pension day. She'd go around, pick up the pension, then we'd go around, have a look in Greens, see what there is. Now, these figures are only like £1.50, but back then, that was, you know, quite a lot. But she'd always like treat me to a figure.
Yeah.
I'd be able to pick one. But granted, the selection wasn't that great. But, you know, that whole thing of just going into town, having a look around the toy stores, they weren't that packed with that much stuff, but you know, we appreciated what we got, really. Yeah, the main memory was just, you know, doing that and then saving up pocket money and doing the same thing, going in hoping that figure's still there. Half the time it had sold out, but you know, you ended up with so many Princess Leias or whatever. So
yeah. When you said there's a factory nearby, Kenner was the American no, the American distributor for Star Wars. That must have been Palitoy.
Palitoy, there's Palitoy
was
nearby.
Yeah.
But Kenner, I think, they're not a factory, but they were like shipped it out. They was like,
Oh, okay.
So I think they were a distribution. But yeah, Palitoy is the other place, which, like I say, sadly came to an end, didn't it? So.
What about Action Force? You had your 5 POA figures, you had your O-ring figures for your vehicles. Then the merger came between G.I. Joe and Action Force.
Yes.
What are your memories of that? What did you feel? Because I mean, at the time, I really liked the O-ring figures because my friend was heavily into Action Force. So, but it was still called Action Force, wasn't it? And then it transferred into G.I. Joe. So what are your memories of that?
Well, we were always confused because, you know, when the initial Action Force came out, it had actual G.I. Joe figures that were repainted and repackaged.
Yeah.
But we didn't know the story. Well, I didn't at the time. There was no internet. We're like local people. We didn't know the full history behind it. And we thought, why have some figures you can bend, you know, articulated the O-rings?
Yeah.
And some of the figures were just like normal. We could never quite grasp what it was like saying, well, why don't they make them all like this?
Yeah.
And, you know, I look like I say, I love the original Action Force, but when you've got the two mixed together, when we were playing, it's like, well, who are you gonna? Well, I'm gonna play with this one because he moves a lot more. Do you know what I mean? That's how it was. So we're a bit confused about that. And then obviously, then it started to change and go on to Action Force, where all the SAS Force, the original Action Force, was pushed aside. Now, I was lucky enough in 1985, 84, I had an accident riding. I ride horses as well.
Okay.
And I broke my leg.
Right.
And luckily, I've got family in the States because that's where I originated from many, many moons ago.
Awesome.
And they had their own little swimming pool. Everybody does in the States. It's part of the course. So it was like, right, you go over there, you can do some swimming, you know, build up the strength in your leg. And it was like, okay, fair enough. And I went over and it was staying with my grandparents. And one of the first things she did was take me to, I think it was Walmart or something years ago. It's changed, it's probably Kmart or it's changed it even from then. I went round and we got into this massive superstore, huge. Because remember, I'm used to small toy shops in Loughborough and news agents. So we walk into this like superstore and we go around. The toy sections like was just huge. I remember I picked up a Miami Vice board game because I was into Miami Vice back then. A t-shirt, and then the heavens opened and this light shone down as I got to the G.I. Joe aisle. Now, I'm a small boy from England who'd only seen Action Force, right?
Yeah.
I had no idea what G.I. Joe was. No idea at that time.
Yeah.
And I walked in there and it was just aisle after aisle of just G.I. Joe. You know, the Sky Striker, the US flag, and this like just blew my mind. So immediately I was there going, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. Picking them up. Got a few figures, thankfully, because my, you know, grandmother could see what was happening.
Yeah.
And that was it, really. From then on, it was like immediately wrote back to me. I say immediately, when you're writing to somebody from the States, it takes quite a while.
It takes a while, doesn't it? Yeah.
But I was saying here, I've bumped into this G.I. Joe that's seems to be the equivalent of Action Force. And then that was it. She took me back, went to a comic store, got my first G.I. Joe, Silent Interlude. I don't know if you know the G.I. Joe comics very well, but it's the one where there's no speech in it. Snake Eyes attacks Destro's castle and sort of rescues Scarlet. It's all like a silent print.
Oh, okay.
And that was the first G.I. Joe comic I got. It's long gone now, but I've stocked up on the reissues and stuff. Went there, never seen the comics before. Like I say, I'd seen Action Forces, but I hadn't seen the G.I. Joe version. So, like I say, that blew my mind. Then I got home, and then obviously the cartoon comes on. And I was like, what? What's all this? Yeah. It's like, you know, actual comics, that's it. And then I'm actually seeing the characters and hearing Major Blood swearing and stuff and going, you bloody fools and drongos. And it's like, what's all this? It was like, scribble it down. So obviously, when I got back to the States, it made a bit more sense about what was going on. So I was like saying, yeah, no, these toys from over there, but for some reason we're using them as well. I didn't know all the background and history at the time, but it was like, well, there's all these over here, and why haven't we got them? And then Action Force stopped, and we started to go into GI Joe. And obviously, I was a year or so ahead. I had Xandar, Zrana.
Oh wow!
The Bat, I think Leatherneck, and I brought, like I say, I had these for age before they even came out. And the biggest thing I ever did was let my Action Force collection go. Somebody I knew who, you know, the kid really, really liked it, but that day, you know, it was like go further down the line, you're going, oh, I should have kept something, but you know, it went to a good home. But yeah, I just knew it was like, well, it opened up a whole new world to me then. So, and then obviously the movie came out. Eventually, we saw it over here. I didn't see it till later.
Yeah.
And then it eventually changed from Action Force to GI Joe. And then I sort of was getting a bit older. Then I liked it up to like 87.
Okay. Yeah.
And so when it started getting to a bit more futuristic with like the Alley Vipers and that, I've got Alley Vipers now. I do like them. But after that, you know, with the Iron Grenadiers and the whole story change. So I was up to like Serpenta when they blew up, when the whole Cobra Island bit sank and they all split. That's sort of when I went, oh, okay.
Well, I mean, I've said to loads of people before in different chats that I liked G.I. Joe up to a certain point because, like you said, it did start getting a bit too futuristic. And the draw for me, I mean, I never had much G.I. Joe or Action Force as a kid. It was predominantly my friend, but it was the realism of it and stuff like that. The vehicles, playability, you know, you could do, you know, but awesome times. So I've got an idea what your answer might be, but what was your favorite toy line as a kid and why? Or did it change from sort of like over the years?
I'm finicky. It kept changing. I'm faddy. I don't know. Like Lego was a big part. Action Man was a big part. That moved on. The Airfix was a big part. Star Wars, I have to say, it's tough between Star Wars and G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
I mean, both have special meaning. I mean, Star Wars I worshipped as a child, and most up to, you know, I still do really. The original three films, you know, Star Wars, Empire, and Return of the Jedi. Those really stayed with me. And the same with the G.I. Joe, just from reading the comics, from the history. You know, when I was young, I'd be reading through Battle Comic. I know it's not quite the same, but the stories were there, the characters. And so those two are the main sort of ones. So it's difficult to choose between the two. It's a bit, I'm a sort of split between the two.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to push you for an answer.
Oh, you would. Okay. So with the way things are, with how Star Wars went, I'm going to go. I'm going to hate myself for this. G.I. Joe. I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. Listen, I mean, everybody's got their favorites. I know. I mean, I'm torn between the two, but I'm predominantly Star Wars. So, that's the thing.
I feel like I'm a traitor to myself, but it is. I love Star Wars, but at the same time, I really love G.I. Joe. It's a tricky one. I love all toys, though. I love them all.
Yeah, you know? Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, just at the moment, there is so much to collect. So, when did you actually stop playing with your toys, and when did you become a collector? When did you realize you were becoming a collector?
Well, you've asked this question to other people. I was thinking about it the other day, and I think it was around 14. I think me and my mate would have stopped playing with them. By playing, we would like set up battles and stuff.
Yeah,
but I was still buying them. I wasn't playing with them, but I suppose it's an early form of collecting. I didn't know.
I guess. Yeah.
But I was just having them on display like I'm doing now. I wouldn't necessarily be playing with them, but I'd have them set out. And I sort of continued that until 16, 17, when I had to get a job and obviously move away and do all these bits and bobs where I needed funds. So that's where, unfortunately, a lot of it went, right, I need the money. That's how it was back then. I need the money. Right, Dush, that's got to go. You got to be a man, my son. So they all went. And then I would have occasionally see the odd figure and pick something. I think the first time I started collecting again would have been around episode 1. You know, when the new Star Wars came out.
Yeah.
Because it was like, right, I'll have Darth Maul for starters. So it's like, him.
I think he was very sought after, wasn't he?
And that's the first time I have a memory of actually phoning a toy shop and going, "Hello, do you have a Darth Maul by Star Wars, please?" And no, would it be possible to order one? Yes, yeah. I went through that phase, and that's the first time that I'd ever done that, and that's just obviously a while back.
Yeah,
and I did get him in the end, and unfortunately, like I say, a lot of my episode 1 stuff's up in the loft.
Okay,
I've got him out of a box and in a box. I do like to mix it up. You see, I've got a few selected that are still in the boxes, but a lot of them I got out and started to display. I continued on through that, and then what came up next? Then I was just buying odd bits and bobs from Star Wars. Then I didn't do any for a while again, and then I think I started getting back into the Lego. I think was first.
Okay, yeah.
Because you've seen my Lego collection. I've got to downsize. I love my Batman stuff. That's going nowhere, but everything else, you got to go, mate, because I've just got no room in this attic. So
I know that feeling.
Especially with a Hiss tank, a Dragonfly, a Vamp. I mean, everything. The bikes are all taking up space. It's like where I'm going to put everything. So it's a tricky one to do, really.
Yeah. So, you've mentioned a few of the toy lines there. What other toy lines do you currently collect, and do you have a focus? So, is there one particular line that you focus on more than anything else?
Yeah, it's G.I. Joe now. It's G.I. Joe.
Yeah, definitely G.I. Joe. Yeah,
I was explaining, wasn't I? Yeah, I sort of got back into the Black series because I think your favorite, Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Now I wasn't aware. I sort of heard about the Black series, but I saw Boba Fett. Sorry.
Yes. Okay.
And, whichever way you want to pronounce it. And I thought, I love that. I like that because obviously I'd like to reconnect with my Star Wars collection, as like I have done with the Joes. It's sort of filling, I had them, now I've got them again. And I got him, and then I got 4 Lom, and then I managed to get all the bounty hunters. And it was like, I'm quite getting into this. Then I started to do all the Empire Strikes Back stuff.
Yeah,
a lot, as you'll see, I've got a lot of that. And then I managed to get the Snow Speeder, which is, like I say, my holy great. It's like, absolutely. I do love it to bits. And then G.I. Joe started to come along. Now, I saw a couple of pre-orders on Amazon, and I thought I'll check them. It was due, it was all the first 6. And then Amazon cancelled the order, and you know what I said? All right, if that's how it's going to be, have to it, because I wanted to try get into a collection where I could start from the beginning, and sort of build it up, because a lot of the other collections have sort of come in halfway. I thought, if I'm going to start collecting properly, I want to start from the beginning. And obviously that fell through. But then I think I managed to see him quite cheap. I think which one? Zartan was my first one I actually got for G.I.
What, classified?
Yeah, it was my first one.
Wow.
He was always a favourite of mine, is from the original set. And so I got him, and then I think I got Beachhead, Duke, and then it just started to pick up. And then I started to catch up with the series. And then there's ones that I can't get, which I don't think I'm going to pay out for, which is like
that's the issue, isn't it?
Cobra Commander and Snake Eyes. And I'm happy with, I've got Major Blood, who seems to be quite a hard one to get hold of. So I'm really happy with that.
What are your thoughts on the classified? Because I remember when they first came out and those first 6 figures, I mean, they weren't setting the world alight in my eyes. I mean, I know some people appreciated them and stuff like that, but I mean, because I was a huge fan, because I played with G.I. Joe when I was younger, I automatically looked at those figures and thought, what are they doing? Why? And apparently it was something to do with like a game that they were releasing at the time. And what have you, but I just thought that's the wrong way to go. I thought they would have if they wanted to do the game, they should have then, first off, in my opinion, they should have released the figures with how they looked previously back in the 80s, a modern day version of those, get people's interest up, and then, we've got this game, we'll put these on like a sideline sort of thing. But they led with those ones from the game, and I just, with the Nerf guns and the
I know.
horrible costumes, I still got them, I still have them, and I'm going to keep them as a reminder as to how poor they are compared to what they look like now. I mean, I just think what they've done now is fantastic.
It doesn't make sense because you look at the progression of them. I've sort of got them all in release order, and you look at the progression, It's like, yeah. Oh, wow. You know,
Yeah,
just
absolutely. Yeah.
builds up. I liked what they were doing, you know, how they thought the classified idea. I thought that was good, but they never, like you said, they never followed it through. They had a website with hardly any of the profiles. You see, like I've mentioned, I like the history. There
Yeah.
was no, you know, the website they didn't have the profiles. And you know, when I'm collecting a figure, I like to have a bit of history behind it.
Yeah.
You know, it may sound odd, but I like to know, you know, instead of it just being, well, that's somebody from something, whereas I know that's somebody from who did this X, Y, and Z, and so
I mean,
forth.
I mean, the good thing about the G.I. Joe back in the day was you had the file cards and you had all the information on these characters. You don't get that so much on any of the cards these days, do you?
Nothing. You get 4 little icons that
Yeah.
you're meant to go look on a website that doesn't exist anymore. It's like, why? I mean, I did some early videos where I sort of did like profiles, because that's one thing I miss. I miss having, you know, having the profiles with the characters. It's not hard to do. Valaverse are doing it with theirs.
Yeah. See, what do you make of their line? I mean,
I've got a couple. I've got a few of
Valaverse, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're doing a fantastic job. I don't personally collect them myself because it's not another rabbit hole that I really want to get into.
I just did 3.
But I think with Valaverse, I think with them up in the ante, and that's putting a little bit of pressure on G.I. Joe. I think G.I. Joe and Hasbro have improved since Valaverse have come out.
Yeah. Well, I think you can see that with the Vamp that they've just released after Valaverse have going on about their vehicle. And then look, all of a sudden, G.I. Joe's go, boom. Oh, there you go. That's going to be turned into a stinger. You know that for starters. They're just going to.
Well, the thing is, though, back in the day, you didn't mind that because the Vamp and the Stinger, the SAS Panther, it was all the same model.
Yeah.
It was all the same, you know, mold, but no one batted an eyelid. And, you know, no one was on about like reuse and repaints and stuff like that back in the day. But now everybody just seems to be harping on about. I mean, I know we're getting a lot from the Mandalorian with like, you know, bounty hunters and not bounty hunters, Mandalorians and clones and stuff like that. But no one mentioned a battered an eyelid, did they, back in the day with repaints and
no.
You know?
Well, I think well, for me, I was just happy to be getting a lot of this stuff. I mean, you look at Action Force, how they were with their figures, how they used from the original 12 that I think that they first brought out.
Yeah,
they just repatterned and remixed all the heads up. Brilliant bit of reuse, but we didn't mind. It was just sort of. I think it's cool, you know, being a child and. You know, as you get older, you get a bit more critical, don't you? So
yeah.
A little bit more critical. God. It's like, that's a repaint there. I'm not sure about that. Whereas kids go, yeah, another colour, woohoo!
No, but I mean, I see. It wouldn't bother me if they released a Night Attack Stinger, or do you know what I mean? Because it's the same mold, and that's what we were used to as a kid.
Do it. I don't.
Absolutely.
It'd be brilliant to have. You know, I'm glad that they're moving off the HasLab anyway. So yeah.
Talking to G.I. Joe, did you back their HasLab project?
Oh yeah, I did. I did the
HISS
tank and the Dragonfly. I was like,
awesome.
should I have 2 HISS tanks? And I thought, no, I don't need 2. I don't. It was like, oh yeah, it'd be cool, but I'm looking around. I've got no room. Dragonfly's gonna go just over here. I have cleared a space for it.
Yeah,
so that's going to go there. But yeah, for scale and stuff. But yeah, I mean, when they first did the HISS tank, amazing. I thought, brilliant. What they've done with that is amazing, with the lighting and just how it looks. Just really lucky for the price as well. People say 200. Yeah, but you know what you're getting is like, you know, it does look good. And the same with the Dragonfly. I'm glad we unlocked all the tiers on that. I mean, Crazy Legs and Ripcord. I mean, Ripcord's one of my faves anyway. So yeah. Just to be getting it.
I mean, it does look good, doesn't it, with the lighting and stuff like that, and the cockpits and stuff like that. And I think it's fantastic.
Knocked it out.
Yeah. I mean, again, if I had the money and the space, I would have been all over that HISS tank and Dragonfly. I got the Sky Striker, and I'm fairly content with that. I know there were quality issues with it and stuff like that.
Yeah, did you have any issues with that then? Did you have any at all? Did you have any issues with it?
No. Well, the only issue I had was, I think, with everybody else, with the Scarlet weapon, where it was you didn't have the handle or the grip, so you could put it in the hand. It didn't have the. Do you know what I mean? You know, with the weapons, you have the trigger and you put it in the hand. Yeah. It's missing that. But then I've kept that on card anyway. My Cobra Commander had both arms, so it had the left arm and the right arm, and there's a little bit of droop on the lower undercarriage where the front wheel comes up. But again, you just push that in, and it predominantly stays there. So I've not had that many issues with it, to be honest with you. But
looks awesome though, doesn't
it's a fantastic piece. I mean, I was lucky enough to have a Sky Striker as a kid. That was about it. I've got the Action Force version of the Sky Striker with all the Action Force details and stuff like that. So I'm really pleased with that.
That's really good. That's the one I have. Yeah, I had the same with the hovercraft. Sky Striker's the one I never had. I had nearly everything else, but not the Sky Striker.
So the Whale, back in 2020, I restored that. So I got it off of eBay for 40 quid, and it was a right mess. So I've cleaned it all up, and this was before I was on YouTube. So I cleaned it all up, took photos and stuff like that of what it looked like before, during, and after. And then over the course of that year, I was just going on and getting little bits of it and stuff like that. And then none of the decals were that great anyway. So I kind of I know blasphemy because you're the purists and stuff like that, but I took the stickers off, and then I just got a whole load of new stickers and put and made it an Action Force one. So it's got all the Action Force decals and stuff like that. And I'm absolutely loving it. I just think it's a fantastic vehicle.
It was. Like I say, the sheer size of it was amazing as well. It was great thing the Whale was.
How lucky were we as kids to be able to actually appreciate those and play with those kind of toys back in the day?
I don't think that's it. I don't think I did appreciate it. I mean, that was the thing. I remember going in and you've seen Star Wars figures for £1, and it's they'd have it was Return of the Jedi, so you'd have loads of Mon Mothma as always, but there'd be the odd Rebel Trooper, in their green camo and stuff. And you're thinking Gamorrean Guards, and you're thinking all these for £1, and you should have just gone, right, I'll have £10 worth of them. But you didn't. It was just, they'll be there. Then same with Action Force.
Yeah.
I remember the USS Flag. This is right near the end. This is when Palatoy shut down.
Yeah.
50 quid for the USS Flag in this toy shop. And we were like, shall we? But where would I put it? Nowhere. But 50 quid. Nothing. I know.
It's really weird because being in this country back in the day, back in the early 80s, mid 80s and stuff like that when I was growing up, me and a friend, we were into Action Force. We had no idea the flag existed. We had no idea the Defiant existed. We just didn't hear of it at all.
No,
and only since being on YouTube, it's like, really? You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Like I said, I was lucky enough to see all that, so I was aware of it, and so. But when the flag did show up, we were so. It's one of those. Should you? I bought everything else, but that we just didn't buy. Somebody did soon enough. But
for 50 quid, yeah, you should have done because it's not. It's a lot more now, isn't it? Yeah. But, I mean, see with the flag, I love what people have done with it. They've built the underneath, haven't they? They put it on a base and a platform, and they've got the hangers underneath. I mean, some of the YouTubers that I've chatted with, just absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Amazing what they've done. Like they've just done whole sections to it and stuff. I think I've seen some guy trying to do one for the classified version. It's ridiculous, massive thing, massive.
Yeah,
takes the whole basement and stuff. So,
wow.
Yeah, if I had the talent and the space and the money, there we go.
You'd definitely do that, yeah.
Yeah.
Where are we? Do you have a sentimental piece in your collection or a prized piece in your collection? When I mean prized piece, it doesn't have to be the most expensive piece of the collection.
No, well, I've got a couple. It's tricky because there's the Snow Speeder, obviously. Is I know it's not very old because a lot of my old stuff has all gone out. I think I've got Flint's shotgun somewhere, from the 3 3/4. For some reason, I found that in a drawer, and it was like, that's the only thing I have from the G.I. Joe collection. So,
from your childhood?
Yeah.
Just
the gun. Just the gun.
You would have put it in a little case.
So, wow, look at this, everybody. It's a gun. There you go. But yeah, it's his green shotgun. It's for some reason, I don't know why I've got it, but I still have. But yeah, it'd be the Snow Speeder.
Yeah.
And then probably, have you ever heard of Dragon in Dreams? They do like a 1/12 scale action man.
No.
Let me just show you this.
Let's have a look.
I know it's not quite sci-fi.
No, let's have a look.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So if I open it up.
Look at that.
Oh yeah. There you go. I'll sort of do a quick pan across.
That's incredible.
So it comes, like I say, with all kitted up. This I got a few years back. I know it's not sci-fi or whatever, but it's 112. But it's like Action Man for me.
Yeah.
So there's that really, and then
that's incredible.
You know, so those are the two. I know they're not very old and stuff, so I suppose
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, does it?
We'll go with Flint shotgun then. There we go.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, it's not much.
Awesome. With the 12-inch, have you not sort of thought, you know, getting back into collecting that, or is that ship sort of sailed now?
I think that ship sort of sailed. With looking at space and stuff, I mean, I've got I think 4 of them, but I like store them down. I've had 3 of them out. That one I haven't touched, but I've had 3 of them out, and they were on display originally, but unfortunately. It's like Star Wars used to be there, Lego used to be, you know, behind me, and it's just been changed and moved around. So like G.I. Joe's took that spot, and you can see the Star Wars is all around the room and over to the side and to my left here. So it's just a matter of moving stuff around to accommodate, really.
With the Snowspeeder, I'm surprised they released that for the 40th. I would have thought if they'd have had anything about them, Hasbro, they would have released it as a HasLab project and had a light up cockpit like they've done with the His Tank and the Dragonfly, because that vehicle is perfectly suited for the 6-inch scale.
Yeah. Look.
It's just see how cool would that have been if you had light up.
Like I say, in the cockpit and stuff. Yeah, amazing. It would have been. I don't know why. Maybe it's just before they started to really sort of get into doing the HasLabs, really. I don't know,
because I think the barge had already been done. I think they'd already done the barge in the TVC line.
Yeah. It's an interesting one, that one. I'm not complaining though, because it only cost me like 100 odd quid. So it's like
it's a fairly decent. But then again, you know, they can go down the line of doing something like an A-wing for
A-wing. I'd love to see an ATST or something like that.
That would be pretty cool. I mean, it would be high, but it wouldn't be as like a wide. Do you know what I mean? It wouldn't take up too much space. It'd be tall, but
you could get.
I mean, the Rancor, you know, that was never gonna. You know, and neither was that lightsaber.
That didn't do very well at all. That did it?
So. No, but never mind. You said the Snowspeeder was a grail piece of sorts. Is there any other grail piece that you're wanting? And when I say grail piece, again, I don't mean financially wise, it costs a lot of money. Something that you've wanted in your collection for years and years and years that you've just never got around to getting it. You've seen it, but thought, no, you passed on it. That kind of thing.
Now, okay, this is it. Do you remember the 1984 film Dune with David Lynch? David Lynch did. They brought.
I remember the film. I've not seen it. It's one I need to watch. I've watched the updated version.
Well, they brought out a toy line with it.
Okay.
Of the actual characters, and I always remember going to the toy shop and seeing them. And the one I wanted, I think it was either Fade Ralthor or Raban. It was actually just, you know, like 6-7 inch figure.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I really, really like that. And that was one of the things I thought, right, go back, get some money. Came back next week and it had gone. And like I say, most of the collection had gone. You've seen I've got some Dune stuff on one of my videos, but that was like, I've had a look online and it's very rare and very hard to find, but that would be like the, yeah, because that was just something it was one of those that I always wanted, but I never got. And then the chance had sort of gone and it was like,
Do you ever get that feeling of like when you see something that you really want, but you pass it by and then you go back and is there kind of like a moment of regret there when you pass something by and think I'll go back and get it next week?
Not anymore. There used to be, not anymore, because I made a promise to myself. Right, you see it, you buy it, because it was like because you don't know, you just don't know. So like if you know,
well, that's it. Yeah.
Anything I've seen now, that's like I was with the Snowspeeder. Unfortunately, G.I. Joe's got a bit like that, where if you don't buy it at the time, You know, there's no sort of leeway because it seems to go out of stock over here.
But the mad thing is, with G.I. Joe, you don't see any of that stuff in the stores, do you? You don't see it at all. It's all online. You've got to get it online.
Yeah. And so that takes, I mean, that's another thing on this is all our toy shops have closed. I know I'm a full-blown adult. I used to love just going in and having a look round and, you know, looking at the old Airfix selection, what Lego, you know, and just having a look round and miss that. And all ours have gone now. It's, you know,
I mean, how frustrating for you then is that as a collector that you can't just waltz off down the road at any given time and you know, buy something from an actual store. You've got to then have to go online, and there's no for me. There's no real buzz or excitement of getting stuff. But it's so easy.
You're just pushing a button. That's all you're doing. You're just pointing and clicking, and it's like, yeah, I've got that, but there's no real connection with it. Whereas if you're going and looking in a store, then you can examine the box, have a look. You know, there's the variety as well, and it's just that. There was, like you said, there's that something special about going into a store. It just rekindles something in me, anyway. It does. You know, I may not buy anything, but it just rekindles something.
So I'd be interested to hear your views on this. Why do you think it has changed that much? Is it simply because of the internet? Is it simply because stores are no longer wanting to sell this kind of stuff or have it in store? I mean, what do you think it's down to?
I think the internet's probably got a lot to blame for this because it's just easier shopping for people. I think it must have had a knock-on effect to, you know, local stores and shop. See it happening now with other stores, not necessarily toy stores, but supermarkets and that, and local stores have all started to go because it's easy just to click and to buy online because half the places you go to, you can't park. You're paying like £6-7 to park up somewhere. And you've obviously got to do the slog and then it's getting back and all that's to it, where you can just sit on your backside and go, look what I've bought, you know, job done. And so,
and I mean, I guess it's the same, I guess, with kind of like, not so much toy fairs, but, you know, you used to be able to go to car boots and stuff like that. And you used to be able to get loads of like vintage stuff for like a really decent price. But like you say, ever since the internet and especially eBay, people are now knowing what they've got. So you go to like a car boot, you're not going to pick something up for £1.50, like whether it's Star Wars or unless that person really hasn't got a clue what they're selling and they've not done their homework. But, you know, now if you want something vintage, you're going to be paying through the nose for it on eBay, or even now I've noticed at these toy fairs that you can go to.
Yeah, some of these carded Action Force going for like £1,000, so I've heard, and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, there's this. I went to Sandown Toy Fair, to one local to us, and so Airborne was my favorite character as a kid, and I'm really, really hoping they do him in the classified.
Yes.
So they had a loose version of him, and he's missing his crutch, but I thought, that's okay. No, I'm not too worried about that, and I've changed the O-ring and stuff like that, so he's all like.
Yeah, they degrade, don't they, over time? The O-rings.
They do,
yeah. They started to degrade when, you know, my mate had a few and he ditched them out of the attic.
Well, every time I get one now, I always check the O-ring, and if it's like gone, then I'll change it. So that's not a major issue. But he had this guy a carded Action Force Airborne. So it was on the actual Action Force. Do you remember the card backs?
Yes, the original. So that 1985, that is then.
Yeah, that was a lot of money. That was a lot of money. And I just looked at it, I thought, oh, and then put it back, and I thought, oh, how. You see, with that, if you had unlimited funds, do you think you'd still have the same enjoyment of being able to get something?
Well,
or would it be just a case of, I love that, I love that, I love that? It's easy, isn't it, if you've got unlimited money?
Well, isn't that a bit like what we're saying about the internet then, isn't it? It's like it's easy.
I guess,
if you've got everything at your hand, it does sort of, it does sort of take them out. I want toy hunting to be challenging, not impossible. You know, I want it to be like, right, here's a figure I'm after. Like the recent Range Viper and Big Ben. They were really sold out on Hasbro Pulse so quick.
Yeah,
I've missed out on them a couple of times now, and things like that. I don't know. So I've lost my train of thought a bit there, Stu. So
That's all right. No worries. We'll move on to the next question. That's not an issue at all.
it's all right. Go off in tangents.
That's okay. No worries. No worries. What made you decide to do a YouTube channel, and who were your influences, if you had any?
Well, I'd been watching. I think the first one I started to get into, because after Star Wars, what was it? Return of the Jedi came out. I started watching Red Letter Media, and then they sort of, through the people you watch, I got into the Critical Drinker. And then he started going on about, people started asking, oh, how do you, do videos and so forth. And I thought, oh, he says, just go for it. And it says, if you like something, do it. And I thought, well, I like Action Force and G.I. Joe. I'll have a go at those. And I started, I think it was following The Artist Shark in Viper Island, and just get an idea for what to do on a review. And then just thought, well, I'll have a go and, do it. And I thought, as I've gone along, I've sort of steered more away from G.I. Joe over to Action Force. But I'll probably...
So when was this? How long ago was this?
Oh, this would be... I think I've only been doing this for about a year or so.
Okay.
I'm still very new to it, hence why this is my first time on camera and so forth.
No. Thank you very much. Really appreciate you.
So, you broke my cherry.
Wouldn't be the first, wouldn't be the last, but thank you.
So I've only been doing it, so I'm still really sort of finding my footsteps. I watch a few people to get a few ideas but try to do it my own way. Now I've had a go at doing it unscripted. I can sort of do short videos if it's just a review. But otherwise, I get sidetracked so easily. I'm like, it's like, well. So I have to do a bit scripted if I'm doing a longer one. Yeah. Otherwise, I just end up just drifting off.
No, that's not an issue. I'm the opposite way. I'm the opposite way. My very first video was about the retro collection, Star Wars retro collection. And that was scripted. And it was like, it just didn't feel natural at all. And I look back at that video now and think, oh, gosh. And so I tend to just blag it basically. I just speak from the hip and try not to be too critical, because it's not a question of hating, is it? It's just you can't like everything. It's as simple as that, isn't it?
No,
I tend to just I just tend to do it off the hip sort of thing, and
it works though. Like I say, you seem to be natural at it, and I think the more I practice, the better. But like you say, when you do hear it back when you've been doing the script, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
How are you?
Actually, to be fair, tell a lie. There was a video that I did a couple of weeks back, and it was about Horsell Common and the War of the Worlds, because I'm really local to Horsell Common, and I've always loved War of the Worlds. So I've not got the confidence to walk around with the camera and chat. I haven't got that far yet. So I just go around and I took all the footage. I came back, sat in front of the computer, watched the footage, and I had like all the information that I needed in front of me, and I got the mic, and I've just like talking into the mic and just, this is it. And that seemed to work okay. So I don't know whether I'll ever be that. Will it be a test tomorrow? Because I've got something planned for tomorrow. But
okay.
But yeah. So we'll see. Yeah, I don't know. But with you, I mean, are you following people like Dave C. Straight from the Pit, G.I. Joe Berg? Those kind of guys and stuff like that.
Force podcast. I just, like I say, there's a whole list that I've sort of gone through, and I'm starting to get to know a couple of the guys now, which is which is nice. But I'm still starting, really. I'm still sort of
that's cool. There's I mean, I mean, as long as you enjoy it, that's the main thing.
I do. I've really enjoyed doing it. Going down my nerd hole, as I'm told. It's like, right, I'm going into Action Force mode, right? I'm right,
See, because I watched your video about the transformation from the Red Shadows to Cobra, and I found that, because I knew of that. I wasn't 100% sure of the storyline, but I knew that Cobra had originated, or Cobra Commander had originated from Baron Ironblood.
Yes.
But you went into so much detail in that video, and I thought it was fantastic. Especially about the Black Major, because I didn't know anything at all about the Black Major, the history or anything like that.
Yes.
And then you've just come out and and I was like, wow, he knows your stuff. And that was awesome, man.
Well, that's part of what it was, because I love that side of it, you know, because growing up with the comics and stuff, and from what I had from memories and seeing odd pictures, it just helped me. You know, I thought, well, if I wanted to go on YouTube and look at something, that's what I'd want to go on and have a look at. So, but yeah, thank you for that. It's
No, it was awesome. I really, but that was kind of mind blown because like I say, I didn't know anything about the origins of the Black Major. You know, and I didn't know
yeah,
the true,
there's
you know, the reason why Cobra formed and stuff like that. But then, what happened to the Action Force units then, like Z Force and SAS Force, Q Force, Space Force?
Well, they said they were still in action. I mean, there's a bit in, I think I did one from the Baron Ironblood to Cobra Commander. I think that's the one you're on about, where right at the end, they sort of explain how it all changed over from, you know, the Baron had changed his identity to Cobra Commander. He'd got himself, you know, his new cronies and so forth. And to fight this new force, we're going to have Action Force, which was this, you know, new force. But that was because it was tied in with the Hasbro taking over Palitoy and all this.
Yeah.
So they said the teams were still available, but they were fighting other threats now. It's a bit of a cop-out, but they said they were still there, but the main people we were to concentrate on was actually marketing, genius marketing, how they did it.
Yeah.
How they swapped it over.
As a collector, would you like to see a modern day updated version of the Red Shadows?
Yes. Definitely. I mean, they could do it in like the classified range. I think I've mentioned this in a bit. Like I say, the figures are near enough there. I mean, you look at, I've always said the Crimson Guard is a near enough rip-off of the Red Shadow. Now, you have to think about the Red Shadows were out well before the Crimson Guard. And Hasbro, you know, you look at that and you think, it's a bit close, mate, a bit close. And especially what happened with Destro and the Red Jackal. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's, is it Super 7? I think they've done some figures and they've done a
Red
Destro
Jackal,
in the Red Jackal. He's got the skull and crossbones and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome.
I'm looking at that one as well. So yes, somebody mentioned it in the video, and I went, right, let's have a look at this. And then, like I say, seeing the skull and crossbones on the red, it's like perfect.
I mean, I think that would just be absolutely awesome. I mean, how cool would that be to have like a fully articulated Z Force unit or SAS Force unit?
Yeah, just do a couple of them. You know, they could easily do like Red Shadow, the Baron, the Black Major, Bosch. There's three. And then just a couple from all the others and see how it goes. But oh my lord,
I think they would sell. I think they would sell. I think people are. I mean, I know I would definitely be interested.
We'd buy them. We'd buy them. So that's two.
yeah. Well, I'm sure there's more than that. Absolutely.
Yeah. But that would be amazing. Amazing.
Absolutely. We're coming to the top of the hour, so I've got another couple of questions for you.
Yep.
Just before that, what do you make of the updated movies that they've done of G.I. Joe? Yeah, the Rise of Cobra and
have you got
Retaliation?
Time? Yeah, have you got time for this? Seriously.
Well, just
I'll be brief. Okay, I'll be brief. Okay. The first one, what was it? Rise of Cobra. Is it? Right. Snake Eyes, perfect. Ray Park, you know, hats off to you, mate. He did a brilliant job of Snake Eyes.
Yeah.
Then the rest, okay. Break, Zartan, no. Destro was underused, and then in Retaliation they get rid of him, which is just like, what you doing? What you doing?
Yeah.
What you doing? Why? Who else? Lady J, maybe, but none of the characters really fitted what I'd grown up knowing. I mean, the story was there was odd bits in the first one I did like, you know, when they're attacking the snow base. That was very G.I. Joe. But in the second one, it was, and Snake Eyes was, what you doing? Seriously, really, what you doing?
Yeah.
It's like,
it's a shame because again, you've got the foundation of all that hard work from the stories that Larry Hama done
everywhere.
You've got the foundation. Why not use that pool of information and you know and make something from it? But it just, I don't know. I don't get Hollywood. I just don't get it.
It's like, what do the fans want? Well, what we decided, we're going to give them completely the opposite. Okay, and that really helped. And it's like, well, unfortunately, like it's been said on videos everywhere, the target audience, I'm afraid these days for collectors is, I'm afraid, adults.
Yeah.
So you've got to if you're doing something like that, you want to try and get the Transformers has done okay with their movies. I think they did okay.
You see, this is the thing. They want to aim it for kids and they want to get a new generation involved in it. I get that. But I went to see Star Trek Generations. I was in my teens, and spoiler alert: Captain Kirk dies. So if you don't know that, it's a tough titties really, because it's been. I know, right? It's been out for years. He dies, yeah. So, but because of that fact that he died, I was like, oh man, okay. I know he's a legendary character. So then that made me go back and watch the whole of the original series and get to see him in his heyday, in his pomp and stuff like that.
Yes.
And then I watched all the movies again, and since then I've been I'll say a huge fan. I've got more respect and more of a love for that TV show than I ever did before I saw like Generations.
Yeah.
Why can't the film studios do that now? Keep it how it was, and then what happened is the kids will then these days will go back and look at it from the original days, like back in the 80s, like the cartoons, the figures, the stories and stuff like that. I don't get.
I think writing's got a lot to do with that. I mean, and the actors
lazy. Writing's lazy.
Yeah, because if you think about a lot of the great films and from the past, a lot of the actors or writers had actually done something. They'd been in conflicts, been reporting, written books, and quite a lot of, it seemed, like I said, combat. And so we're able to draw on experiences, and these experiences shape you as a person.
Yeah.
Okay. And so they, life experience, and writers these days just don't seem to be able to put that into, it's just like writing from their own point of view. I don't know.
I think that's happening in a lot of movies. I think I won't get too deep into it because I'm actually going to be doing a live stream in a few weeks' time about this topic. So I'm not going to say anything at all. So I'll sort of leave that until a couple of weeks' time. Moving on, what gives you that toy collecting buzz?
Oh, I know it's a bit like a habit, isn't it? I don't know. For me, it's having them on display. I know it sounds a bit weird. I just like having them. So if I'm ever having a bit of a bad day or anything, I just come in. I'm sitting here in my little man cave, and I just go.
Yeah, you're not the only one.
And it's a lot of it is, I've got you at last. That's one thing. I've made up for, selling you in the past, so to say. And but a lot of it is, it's these all mean, G.I. Joe style, all these action figures I've got, the Terminator, Aliens, and so on, all mean something to me. Growing up, so seeing this, it sort of rekindles that a little bit. I don't know. I'm just a man child, I suppose.
That's right. That's not. Well, I think we're all man childs, really. So with your collection, I know you've got a lot of modern day stuff. Are you ever going to get the temptation to go back and get some of the O-ring figures that you had as a kid?
I'm tempted. I was looking up some Action Force, and it was like, oh yeah, let's have a look at these. And then I was looking at the price and going, because that's so. If I could get a few loose Action Force, I'd love a Baron, but with his hat, God knows if that's ever going to happen. A Red Shadow and the SAS figure. Those are the three that I'd be really keen to get in, because they're like the three of the, without the multi joints that I really like. So
I did have practically all of the Z-Force unit with vehicles, and
you have the tank.
Yep. Yeah, I had the Mobat as a kid.
Yeah, Mobat.
So that resonated with me. So I got that again. I had Steeler.
Nice.
I had the SAS as well, and the thing is, I was running out of room quick, and I thought, what am I going to do? So I didn't want any of my Star Wars to go. So unfortunately, it was the Action Force stuff, and I've moved it on. Now I know that Z-Force stuff has gone to a good home. It's gone to a friend of mine, Scuba Pete, in the States. So I'm really happy with that. He's loving that. So, but yeah, but the SAS I sold on eBay. Do I regret it? No, because I said I was running out of room. But since then, I've got so much more stuff, and I still don't
Yeah,
have any more room. So
yeah.
You know, will I go back to getting it again? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I've just started collecting the O-ring figures, and it's just ones that I like.
Yeah,
So
well,
I've got a small collection.
So I've got to think about it. It's like at the moment, GI Joe classified like have got me hooked for a lot of money at the moment through the HasLabs and up and coming figures. So anything that's going to happen, it won't be for a while. But it's getting to, it's toy fairs near us. I was trying to get some mates of mine to go to the Birmingham Comic Con. I want to really sort of do one of those so I can.
Oh, what, NEC?
Yeah, something like that. I want to do something like that, and because
yeah, we're heading to that. That's in October, isn't it?
Yes.
We're heading to that. So if you go, it'd be good to meet up with you. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because it's one thing I've wanted to do, and I've never been.
Yeah.
And so I've sort of saved up some pennies and whatnot. Just
I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, well, it's just say, you never know. I might meet some more famous people and stuff. So
well, I don't know about famous people, but yeah, bless you. Moving on. Last question. What does your collection mean to you?
The world, basically. This is. I saw somebody put a post on the other day on YouTube that made me laugh. It said, "Bury me with my toys." And I've already mentioned that. So I said, right, if I ever go, right, all I want, right, I don't care about anything else. I just want to make sure all of this goes somewhere good. I don't want it to go in a bin.
Yeah.
So if the worst comes to the worst, you stick it in the ground with me, or but I want all this to go because it means the world to me. To me, it reminds me of, collecting as a child. Obviously, as you get older, the good old days,
Yeah.
And to see it just, brings back all the memories when I was in the States as well. G.I. Joe brings back so much for that, those special first few days of getting into the States and finding all this lot. Like I say, woof, blew my mind as a child. But yeah, it means the world to me. It really does. It's, there are other things in my life that mean more.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It's in my top 10. There we go. So I haven't upset anybody.
As a famous Liverpool manager once quoted, and he's still the Liverpool manager, it's the most important thing of the least important things.
Yes. Now I have people that do understand that. So that is good. It's when, I've been with people, what are you collecting? What's all that for? I'm going, look, you're doing your hair and nails, that's fair enough. Let me have my odd little action figure. And luckily I'm with people now who are like,
it's funny you say that. I think if people don't collect, I don't think they fully get it. Do you know what I mean? Because they're looking from the outside, inside, and stuff like that. Once you're in the community, it's like a lot of people have said, they can just come into their collection room and they've had a bad day at work. They can look around. They can just lose themselves in so much nostalgia, in so much memories of childhood and stuff like that. And I just think I just think it is so cool. And the community itself, it's such an amazing community. You get to meet like-minded people.
Yes.
Now, before I ever was on YouTube or got to know the community, I was a collector, but it was a personal, private thing. I never, ever sort of let it out the bag that I was a collector.
Yes.
And there's some people that I still haven't told. Some people don't even know I've got a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Like friends and stuff like that. But since doing it, I have had such a great time meeting like-minded people like yourself and others that I've become really close with over this last year. The collection has expanded. My wallet hates that. But, but the knowledge of certain people in the community, the generosity, the kindness, the information, it's just an awesome community. And I've got to say, I'm loving absolutely every minute of it. And yes, you get people that you're not going to get on with. Stay away. You know what I mean? Just, you don't have to get involved in them and stuff like that. And you're not going to like everything, are you? There's things that I don't like, but I appreciate because someone else likes it and stuff like that. It's just, it's what you make it. And at the moment, this is an absolutely fantastic community to be in. Definitely.
Yes, yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I've been through some tough times, and getting into this YouTube channel has helped. And like you say, sometimes you feel like you're a bit on your own with toy collecting. I mean, I'm stuck in the middle of nowhere. Nobody else near me collects.
Yeah.
You know, my mate who lives off miles away, he collects Barbie. What use is that to me? Nothing. So you know, he's got his collection, and so I've always sort of felt a little bit on my own, and through this and through the community, and
Yeah.
I say with you, just chatting with you and people on Instagram have just been so nice over just a simple picture you put on, and they're like, "Thank you," and then you start getting chatting. I've met people who do because it's just opening up. And
Yeah.
like I said, I've only been doing it a short while, so it's a bit overwhelming at times. And I'm
Yeah.
still trying to get used to how to communicate with people, you know. And it is like I say, really good supportive. You get the odd bad egg, but I say if
Yeah.
somebody's complaining about it, you're doing all right. Then really, it's you know.
Well, yeah. You get
Somewhere
those kind of people no matter what you do in life. It's how you how you deal with that, and at the end of the day. But like I say, I've really thoroughly enjoyed chatting with you. I've just really had a great time, and it's been a fantastic conversation. Unfortunately, that has come to the end of the chat,
I
my
had
friend.
such a good story to tell you as well about Warwick Davis. That'll have to wait for another day. Then.
Oh, you're gonna leave us on a tease. Awesome stuff. But anyway, where can people find you? What are your social media platforms? Because what I'll do is I'll leave the link to those in the description below.
Okay, I'm on YouTube as Random GI Joe Collector. I've also got an Instagram account, so I'm still early days, and that's I think under the same thing as well. I've not been that up on how to get my profile out there, so it's just this is going to help no end, no doubt. So thank you.
Yeah, no, not a problem at all. And I'm you know, I hope it does, and I hope you you get more subscribers and you get more people following on
I'm just happy to
Instagram.
doing it. People subscribing, it's just thank you. You know, it's really nice, and obviously you need people to do that so your videos get seen. It's a bit of a shame on YouTube.
If you haven't yet subscribed to Ash's Random GI Joe Collector channel, then please do. It would be very much appreciated, and also give him a little follow on Instagram as well. He's a top guy. It's been an absolutely fantastic collection. Thank you so much.
Thank you for breaking me in gently.
That's okay. That's okay. I you know, yeah, I could go so many different ways with that, but I'm not going to because I'm a respectable kind of guy. So, on that note, we shall say goodbye. Thank you very much for watching. Really appreciate your support, and take care, stay safe, and we shall see you in the next video. Bye for now.